city, the zoning code establishes development standards and processes. And then finally, an environmental impact report will be released to evaluate and disclose the potential environmental impacts of a planned build-out. Both the zoning code and environmental impact report are anticipated to be released in Q3. The general plan process was really made up of 5 distinct stages that began back in 2019 and working through where we are now. So the process is really incremental, where each phase informed the work done within the following phase. These included existing conditions, listening, learning, and visioning, developing land use and mobility alternatives, developing a suite of policies across 12 different chapters in the plan. And then we're in the process now of reviewing those draft documents and then up for adoption later this year. Underpinning that entire general plan process was community engagement. And so during each stage of the process, we hosted a variety of different engagement meetings, including workshops, neighborhood meetings, pop-ups, focus groups, and commission and committee meetings. And then before the pandemic, much of that engagement was done in person. And then during the pandemic, we shifted to online engagement using surveys, these Zoom meetings, and features of the project website. And now that we're kind of in a hybrid method as we release these plans, so we're doing a mix of meetings in person and a mix of meetings virtually to give people lots of different opportunities to engage in the process. Through that community engagement process, we really worked with the community to help define a vision for the general plan. And that vision really sets the umbrella for the general plan, and everything sort of flows and follows underneath it. So it goes as follows. South San Francisco is a place where everyone can thrive. It's high quality of life, diverse and inclusive community, livable neighborhoods, excellent services, culture of innovation, and environmental leadership ensure all people have the opportunity to reach their full potential. And then throughout the engagement process, we consistently heard about sort of 4 core values from community members. So livability, diversity and inclusion, sustainability, and innovation. And while the vision articulates where we want to be in the future and the policies and actions in the general plan describe what we're going to do, the values really articulate how we implement those future programs and policies. And so with the story of the kind of the general plan and the genesis of the general plan behind us, we're going to take just a few minutes to walk through the structure so everyone is familiar with the general plan itself. So South San Francisco's general plan is grouped into 5 overarching components: our plan, our place, our people, our environment, and our plan to get there. Each section is color-coded and contains all the state required elements as well as optional elements and topics as well. So the first part really describes the community vision, which I just outlined, including those core values and guiding principles. It talks about regional, local, and historic context, talks about the planning process, community engagement that was done during the process, and the plan structure and statutory requirements. Part 2, our place, is designated by the color yellow, and it contains elements that focus on the built environment. So this includes land use, community design, housing, a prosperous economy, mobility, and parks and recreation. These are really the primary chapters that will address physical planning. Part 3, our people, is designated by the dark blue color, and it contains elements that focus on the safety and well-being of people in South San Francisco, and includes chapters on community services, community health and environmental justice, and community resilience. And finally, part 4, our environment, is designated by the color blue. It contains elements that focus on the natural environment and environmental aspects that affect South San Francisco's natural environment. Now, each of the general plan elements or chapters is organized in the same fashion, and I'm going to just briefly walk through so everyone's just kind of familiar with how the chapters are organized. So after a title page, there's sort of a 2-page spread that describes where we want to be in the future. And I like to really think of this as a cheat sheet for the chapter. It describes where we want to be in the future, how the plan helps us get there, and the performance metrics and targets needed to monitor progress. The next section of each chapter describes kind of the key issues and opportunities for that topic. It helps really provide the background and lay the foundation for the policy framework that follows. In the policy framework, it really kind of lays out the high-level goals, or the end states of where we want to be with statements of intent, and then the policies to guide future decision-making. Underpinning those goals and policies are a more detailed implementation action table, which assigns priority and responsibility to different departments within the city. And then finally, each chapter has a series of performance metrics and targets to help the city track progress towards those long-term goals in the general plan. Now, tonight we're really going to be talking and focusing on Avalon and Brentwood, Westborough, and the Winston-Salem sub-areas. So within the general plan, we have kind of a structure for goals and policies that affect land use across all neighborhoods within the city, and then more specific direction and vision for areas within the city. These are these sub-areas. So each of these sub-areas includes distinct information and language unique to each of those neighborhoods, whether it's community character, architectural diversity, and then land use overall. And these really help to provide opportunities for people of all income levels and household types to live a high quality of life in South San Francisco, while connecting them to jobs, services, and amenities that make the city a great place to live. Now, the general plan had identified 10 different sub-areas within the city, 11 different sub-areas within the city. Most of those are residential sub-areas, so Avalon and Brentwood, Westborough, and Winston-Salem being 3 of those. And now we'll kind of just walk through kind of the vision articulated in the general plan for each of those neighborhoods. And like the general plan vision overall, these vision statements were developed as part of the community engagement process based on our neighborhood listening and learning that we did throughout the general plan process. So on your screen now is the vision statement for Westborough. So Westborough is a comfortable environment for residents who benefit from excellent access to services, recreational opportunities, and diverse commercial spaces. The Avalon and Brentwood sub-area vision is on the screen now. Avalon and Brentwood is a walkable, attractive, and safe neighborhood with a variety of housing options, accessible recreation, amenities, and quality infrastructure. And then finally for this evening, the Winston-Salem vision is Winston-Salem is a livable, safe, and healthy neighborhood where residents have convenient access to city, local, and citywide services, quality housing opportunities, excellent parks, and public spaces. And as we go through each of those visions, you hear some common themes that were articulated in the engagement process: quality housing, access to services, and amenities within the community. So for each of those sub-areas, there are a series of land use policies and actions associated with each area. And for this evening, what we've done is synthesized kind of the core components of the land use policy for each of those areas. So we heard a lot about supporting neighborhoods overall, and allowing some residential infill to happen at a scale that's compatible with existing neighborhoods. Really think about how to partner with the South San Francisco Unified School District to evaluate housing and open space on former school sites like Sierra Vista and other sites as well. And really to develop childcare facilities in all 3 sub-areas and new parks in those areas as well. So we heard a lot about creating and attracting different amenities and creating complete neighborhoods within each of the sub-areas in the city. And then we heard a lot about mobility overall. We heard a lot about how do we connect each of these neighborhoods through bicycle, pedestrian, and transit accessibility within each neighborhood, and then 2 other neighborhoods in the city, and then to the broader region as a whole. And we heard a lot about encouraging mixed-use development and on different shopping centers, like in Westborough, the Westborough Shopping Center overall. So that's kind of a summary of those different sub areas and the visions for those areas. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about what's next in the process, and then we'll open it up into kind of a virtual open house for you all to talk with our facilitators and staff. So we still have a series of community meetings through May and June on the general plan. We have one kind of final general plan meeting coming up this weekend in downtown Linden and Pine from 11 to 3. It's going to be an awesome event. It'll be general plan related, but there'll also be lots of other city programs and services at that event. And then we have a series of meetings kicking off on the zoning code, including a community advisory committee, community open house on the zoning code. That'll be a virtual meeting on June the 14th, planning commission study session on the zoning code on June 16th, and then a study session with council on the zoning code on June 22nd. So we encourage you all to participate in those meetings, as well as encouraging your family, friends, and colleagues in those activities. And then also, just for those who haven't seen it, we relaunched the project website as a digital general plan. So all of the content that's in the general plan is now up on the website. It's more easily searchable. You can use language, Google Translate to change languages, and it's really a good tool to help navigate the general plan itself. And then finally, by request, we added a series of executive summary documents to the website as well. Those are on the general plan and climate action plan, and they are in English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Mandarin for folks to review. One last thing for me, which is we also have an online survey tool on the website in which you can go put your comments directly in the general plan and climate action plan. Those documents will be available for comment until May 31st. They've been up since March the 2nd. So we'd love to have any comments that you have. You can put those directly in those plans and then give those comments to us this evening. And so with that, that concludes my presentation for the evening. I'm going to hand it back over to Dave to walk us through the virtual open house component.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. So as Eric mentioned, the most important part of this evening is to receive feedback from you all. And what we've done is devise an open house, much like we would if we were all together in person, moving around a room. We'll have different, essentially virtual rooms available for you to pop into and provide feedback on. The 2 links that you see up on the screen right now, I'm going to ask Paul or Rachel to drop those in the chat. One is a participation poll, if you wouldn't mind taking the time just to give us some general demographic information to see who's joined us here this evening. The other is a link directly to the feedback form, which will also be dropped in chat when you go into the small groups, so that you have access directly, as Eric mentioned, to the general plan and the different topics and elements of the general plan to provide feedback there, in addition to asking any questions or providing any comments that you have this evening. So with that, the next slide, you'll see who we have with us here this evening. We have 4 rooms available. One is a kind of a general plan overview, as well as focused discussion on the sub areas or neighborhoods that we mentioned here this evening. We have a room available for mobility, anything related to transportation or how folks move around the city. The 3rd room is on parks, recreation, and the environment. And lastly, we have a super room on climate resilience, community resilience, climate protection, environmental justice, and community services. And one thing I forgot to mention, sorry, in room 1, we also have the ability to talk about the housing and the housing element, and Tony will be there to help answer those questions. So with that, if you want to stop sharing screen, Eric, I'm just going to bring up one final screen here that will remain up through the duration of the meeting today. Again, a quick reminder of how to access each one of the rooms is you simply go to the toolbar at the bottom of your window, you click the breakout rooms button once it's open, and then you'll be able to navigate to any one of these rooms on your own, any one of these 4 rooms. And the idea is you go in, you give feedback, and you essentially leave whenever you'd like. We're not going to come back together to have any report out. It's kind of an open house format that way. We will be available to 8 o'clock. If folks hopefully would like to stick around and talk with us, that would be excellent. And again, you'll see links to the feedback form that you see on the screen right now, as well as a participant poll down the road as well. And we do have the live interpreters available with us. We have all 3 of them now here, and they're going to stay with me in the main room. And what you see on the screen is language that lets folks know that if you do need interpretation help, you can go ahead and use the raise hand function, and we'll get you connected with one of the interpreters who will follow you through the rooms and be able to translate any of the material for you as needed. So with that, I'm going to ask our facilitators, Megan, Paul, Rachel, if you want to pop off the recording so that I can make you co-hosts. Then we're going to go ahead and open up the rooms here and get started. So give me 1 second to make sure I have them correctly assigned. Okay,